full schedule today. We have a lot of things going on. Is there anybody that is new to the organization, never been here before? If you haven't, please stand up and introduce yourself. Thank you. We have, there are nominations. I sent out an email to the membership about nominating officers and positions on the board. So if you're interested in participating in the board, there's a whole level of details. You didn't get my email, send it, you know. I know we need somebody in the legislative area. We probably need multiple people in the legislative area. And corresponding secretary we need, and program management. Those are the primary ones. So our next meeting actually is going to be the Sierra Club. Is coming here. We have the Florida chapter, the head of the Florida chapter, coming to talk to us about environmental issues and what we can do ourselves to, you know, the bear law that just got passed was promoted by our state representative here to kill the bears. Anyway, so we'll talk about that. And then there's a bunch of flyers there on different events coming up. There's two from the African American Club that they asked me to provide. One is to teach you how to line dance. Improve your brain. And there's also a fashion show that they're having, all male fashion shows. So you may want to go. And then on September 27th, there's a fish fry that Marion County puts on every year. And that's always a lot of fun. Especially if the weather's nice. And October 4th, we had the Citrus Blue Wave Gala, where they're having David Jolly. He's all over the place if you haven't seen him yet. And then October 25th, there's the Lake County Gala, where Colonel Vivnen is going to speak. So if you haven't heard him before, I think we're blowing up boats in the international waters, so I think we ought to be talking to somebody who's looking at that.
Could you repeat the date for the Vivnen?
Yeah, they're on there. But Vivnen is 10/25, October 25th. And then November 9th, there's going to be a party for Barbie. Where's the person you want to say a few minutes?
Just, we're having a fundraiser for Barbie at my house on November 9th, late in the afternoon. If you'd like an invitation from Barbie, please text me or call me. There's my phone number up there, 859-321-7171. Yeah, good idea to just take a picture of it before you do. Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm Leslie Flanders.
She volunteered her house. Anyway, our first, we have two speakers today. The first one up is Ash, which I know many of you know. He's running for state senate in the special election for District 11. Replace the guy that they put in the CFO chart that DeSantis put. Blaze Ignolia, it's good to be Scott because he promoted all kinds of bad amendments to the Constitution, as well as laws. And then second up is we have Michelle Boshears. She's She's a speaker, she's gonna speak about what it's like to be, what do you think of when you think of a veteran, do you picture a woman? Because she really rose to the top of the ranks. And so I'm interested in hearing what she had to say. She was, I guess, interested in being in the military at an early age. And she rose to the rank of major. So that's a pretty major achievement, a pretty big achievement. Anyway, and you had an announcement?
I do. You want it now?
Yeah.
Okay. So 2 things. We had a fund drive, fundraiser over the weekend. We made these cute little boxes, and we're selling them for $5 each. If you would like one, they're back here. Put your $5 in the envelope and take one of these. I think I'm going to take this one personally. So, I'm going to hang on to that one. Also, we wrote postcards to get out the vote. I have 125 postcards left, so I'm looking for people who are willing to take 25 home and write them. Oh, so
Right here. Right here.
oh, who wants it? Who wants it more? Yeah. Oh wait, no.
Don't fight over.
They told me they would write 14 postcards.
Auction it off.
That was you? Okay, so she's already, so that's it, thank you. So if you see me afterwards, I put my email address and my phone number. When you're done, just call me, send me an email, I'll make arrangements to get them back. But if you have questions, if you've not written them before, see me afterwards and we'll do that.
Okay, we're gonna make an announcement about book club.
Ladies, we have a secret book club. Somehow the word is not getting around that we have a Democratic Ladies Book Club going on. There's 2 groups of them, and our group meets on Thursday nights, and we welcome new members. It's been fun, and what's the best about it is that you can say whatever you want to. Having people angry. So if you'd like more information on it, please contact me or Jerry Manning. Thank you. I'm going to put it in the gloves.
Okay, Ash?
Yeah.
I don't have a card for you right now.
Hello, the Montrets. Since this is a Democratic Club, Women's Club meeting, I just want to share something before my stump speech. I'm reading a book called Their Eyes Were Watching God. If you get a chance, please read it. It's about the story of this woman, Jenny. The book was published in 1937. Wonderful, absolutely wonderful book. Anyway, let me tell you what is happening. We are going to win this election. That's the bottom line. And you, every one of you is going to help. The election is on December 9th. The early voting will be late November. But prior to that, early November, the vote by mail ballots will start coming. So that means we are only about 6 weeks from when the vote by mail ballots come. So make sure you vote, make sure your neighbors vote, your friends vote. It's going to make a difference because this is a special election. There are only about 80,000 people expected to vote out of 400,000. In 4 counties, Sumter, Citrus, Hernando, and northern part of Pasco County, total of 400,000 voters. People don't even know when is the election. And that applies all over. I mean, wherever I go, people don't know there is an election on December 9th. And this is the only election on December 9th. So it won't be well publicized. So If we can get 41,000 Democrats to vote, we win. And it's actually crucially important to win, because right now, the Republicans hold 26 seats in the Senate out of 40. About 10 days ago, LeVon Davis won in Orlando, and that's how they couldn't increase their membership. So 26 Republicans out of 40 do not make a two-thirds majority. This seat, if they win, it becomes 27, and they have a two-thirds majority, under which they don't have to listen to anyone. No Democrat input, and they can do anything they want. They can change rules, they can make rules, they can make new laws, and Democrats will have zero input. So this seat is crucially important, and let's work hard. Let's see if we can win this one. And what is happening right now in Florida is totally unacceptable. Medicaid cuts are coming, but Republicans are slick. The cuts are coming after the midterm election next year. But I bet the nursing homes are already getting prepared because they're going to lose their income. 1 out of 2 patients in nursing homes, they are on Medicaid. And that means if the Medicaid patients are not getting reimbursed, the other 5 who are on Medicare, they are going to be affected because lack of service in the nursing home, or the nursing homes will shut down. This is literally a tsunami coming. And then there are cuts to healthcare premiums, not cuts, the premiums are going to jump for people who are buying insurance on their own, working families. Barbie Hall, she buys her own medical insurance. She told me her premium on January, today it is $476 a month. On January 1st, her premium is going to go to $2,058. This is happening, and unless the Congress changes the law, in the next few weeks, these people are going to start getting notices that their premiums are going up by 18 to 41%. These notices are coming to 24 million Americans. This is happening right now. And Congress cannot agree on anything. You can see that they're going to probably shut down the government before they agree on anything. That's on health care. And there is more. There are cuts to Medicare. The Medicare cuts are in the bill. Yes, they are smaller. They are on the fringe. They are for people who have low income, but they are on Medicare, or there are some medications that will not be covered. I have a leaflet write-up. I have posted the complete article on my Facebook page. If you know my Facebook page, it's facebook.com/AshForST11, same thing as my website, and you can see that article. The whole article is 20 plus pages long, but there are cuts to Medicare in this bill. The other thing,
Can you please repeat your Facebook page again? Your Facebook ad, so we can forward it.
I am,
It's this one?
yes, facebook.com/AshForST11.
All right, got it.
And I am advertising on Facebook, so you will see my posts about other items also.
I don't mean to interrupt you, and I apologize. Their Eyes for Watching God is free right now on Kindle for anybody who has Kindle.
I just ordered it.
Yeah, it's free right now. Sorry.
Okay.
Their Eyes for Watching. Their Eyes for Watching.
The other thing that is happening is the prices are going up. Prices are going up out of style. I looked at mincemeat yesterday, $7.57 a pound from Publix yesterday. $7.57 for mincemeat. I thought the meat prices had gone up 11.5%. This looks like a lot more than 11.5%. I was in Fernando County the other day, stopped at a restaurant, and I just happened to ask the waitress. I said, "How is grocery shopping for you?" And you know what she said? She said, "It is crazy." She said, "I cannot afford to buy vegetables. Luckily, my dad grows vegetables in his garden," and she said, "That's how I get my vegetables." This is what is happening. This is what is happening in Florida. This is what the prices are. The auto repairs have gone up significantly because of tariff. The price of air conditioning and air conditioning parts have gone up like 40% because there are tariffs on steel and tariffs on aluminum. The prices are ridiculous. The other is, and I know some of you are teachers, the public schools are really, really down. I volunteer at Wildwood Middle High School myself. I see it happening. Last 8 years, I have seen the decline of education in Florida, at least in the Wildwood Middle High School. The teachers' pay is poverty level. We are 50th out of 50 states. And again, earlier in Hernando County, somebody was telling us that her daughter, who's a teacher, moved across state line in Georgia for a $15,000 raise. So this is what is happening. The education level is down, the class sizes are bigger, and makes education really hard. The kids, at least at Wildwood Middle High, don't get any homework because teachers don't have time to review homework or check homework and give guidance. The education level is falling. So my first goal is, if I get elected, is to raise teachers' pay in Florida. My second goal is to reduce homeowners insurance. And that's really simple to do, but they won't do it because the insurance companies will lose. What you have to do is start a true public insurance company. And all it will do is cover hurricane losses. And your own insurance company then will just cover fire and theft insurance. When that happens, your premiums will drop like a rock. Guarantee you that. This is not my proposal. This is 15-year-old proposal. It has been proposed in the legislature, and they have rejected it because the insurance companies are the big donors to the Republicans. So they tell the Republicans, say no, this bill doesn't make it out of committee even. But here is the thing, this is a deep red district. If I win the election, the legislature is going to pay close attention why I won. And they are going to do the things that I'm telling you because people want it. That's the key. The election may be a win for me, but it's a win for you because you are conveying to the legislature what you want. And that is absolutely the key. And now, the biggest one, and I cannot believe these things are happening. Starting on Monday, the legislature is starting hearing on property tax reform. Have you heard they want to eliminate property taxes? Oh, okay, quickly, let me just tell you. Property taxes, they want to increase your homestead exemption to $250,000. Right now it's $50,000. Take it to $250,000. And when that happens, Sumter County, just take an example, they collect $103 million in property taxes. they will lose $70 million, and they will have to lay off police officers and firefighters. And this will happen statewide, but they are pursuing it. And I certainly hope all the police officers and all the firefighters, they are seeing what is happening, and they will reject this, and they'll vote for me, because my opponent, Dr. Musulo, he has already told me in Hernando County, he was there, he told me that he is in support of $250,000 homestead exemption. And that's going to be devastating. Anyway, those are the few points I wanted to make. Thank you very much.
I forgot to mention there's an education forum tomorrow, and I think they're going to talk about vaccines. Is that right? Did I get that right, Shirley? Anyway.
Hi, I'm Roberta Moore, and I'm working with Ash on his campaign. And can we give him another hand? We are lucky to have somebody who's willing to fight for democratic virtues and democratic values. Now, I have a simple thing I want you to do. If you would take out your cell phones and turn them on. Who tells you to turn on your cell phones? Take out your cell phones, turn them on, and go to your calendars. Okay? Everybody keep calendars? No. Well, if you do. There you go. Okay, and go to December 9. On your calendars, go to December 9. And there I want you to write these words. Vote for Ash. Okay? Thank you.
So Michelle, give you the room.
You can keep your phones out if you want. I mentioned. I just need that. Okay, so Sue gave me a brief introduction. My name is Michelle Boshears. I have lived in the Villages now for about 7 years. I am a retired Army major, married to a retired Army colonel. We raised 3 children while on active duty, which I'll talk about a little bit in this video. But I want to ask, before I really get started, are there other veteran women in the room? Exactly. All right. So I am also a member of the Tri-County Women Veterans Group that is here. It's not just the Villages, but the majority of the members are from the Villages. I am part of their Speakers Bureau, but I am not speaking for Tri-County Women today because Tri-County Women Veterans is a nonpartisan group. I do speak to other groups throughout the Villages. I spoke recently with the Working Women Social Group, who then invited me to come to the Democratic Women's Club. And as you can see, I am a member of the Democratic Women's Club. And I want to thank my neighbors and friends who are going to join the club for coming today. I have a short video that I would like to show you before I get into my presentation. One of the struggles that veteran women have is being seen as a veteran woman and as a veteran, period. When people come to our house, like I said, my husband is also a retired Army officer. When people people come to our house. We have Army stuff around and different things that you could tell that we're a military family. And invariably, people say, turn to my husband and say, thank you for your service. And he says, she served too. That's the first thing he says when people turn to him. Right, I'm going to keep him, I like him, I'll keep him for another 45 years or whatever. But he is very, he's very good about ensuring that I, as a woman veteran and his wife, am also recognized for my service. But not all veteran women have that kind of support that I do. And even I've had women tell me they'll be walking around in their Army hat or their Navy hat or whatever, and still people will come up to them, they're wearing the hat, will come up to them and say, oh, where did your husband serve? No, I did. So one of the things, so this video is about that. This video that I'd like to show you right now is about that. And perhaps, I don't know, perhaps we could turn down the lights so you can see it a little bit better. We don't have to necessarily turn them all the way off. Yeah, it's okay. I know it's confusing. Oh, that's good enough, probably.
It was the most amazing experience of my life, being able to serve our country, just in honor of everything.
After 21 years of being in the Army, I retired as a Sergeant First Class. From my experience, the Army was very supportive of me and ended up staying for another 12, 13 years.
Probably the 10-year mark, it dawned on me that the Navy was my life.
How many women have been fortunate enough to say, I served my country?
When you think of a veteran, do you picture a woman? Did you know that women have served in many roles in the United States military for centuries?
Women in the American Revolution often followed their husbands into the Continental Army, taking on roles such as washing, cooking, and mending clothes. But it was not unusual for them to pick up their wounded husband's weapon and join the fight. The Civil War shows images of women that center on self-sacrificing nurses, romantic spies, or brave ladies maintaining the home front in the absence of their men. Both the Confederate and Union armies forbade the enlistment of women, so women soldiers assumed masculine names and disguised themselves as men. World War I brought in new roles for women. Women played vital roles, not just in the war, but also in the country's economy. They did manual labor, worked on farms, in factories, served in local governments, and provided stateside military services from transportation to aid. For the first time, women were allowed to join the military. Some worked on the home front while others traveled to Europe, and still others traveled to overseas units to assist soldiers. World War II women filled jobs previously held by men, working in industries that were building supplies necessary for the war effort.
It was in World War II when the women's service branches were established. First came the Army WACs, followed by the Navy Waves, the Air Force WASPs, and the Coast Guard SPARs. They took office and clerical jobs in the armed forces in order to free men to fight. They were nurses and truck drivers, mechanics and radio operators. Some flew military aircraft across the country, or they test flew newly repaired planes, and even trained anti-aircraft artillery gunners by acting as flying targets. At the end of the war, women made up over 2% of the armed services. When you fast forward 28 years to 1976, women were admitted to all the service academies and were integrated into the military. Their separate branch was no longer necessary. In 1993, women would serve on combat ships and fly as fighter pilots. Today, women are eligible to compete for assignment in all military occupational specialties and positions and comprise nearly 11% of the total veteran population.
So, why is it that every day women veterans go overlooked and often less recognized, less valued than their male counterparts? Why is it that some people don't see us as veterans because we do not wear the ball cap or the t-shirt? Could it be lack of knowledge, lack of awareness, or just a culture lag?
The Tri-County Women Veterans Association, a group of over 200 women in Central Florida in the counties of Sumter, Lake, and Marion, want to increase the awareness and start the dialogue and open eyes to the myriad levels of expertise women veterans possess.
In 1977, I was very lucky to be assigned out of officer candidate school to a ship, and I served with another woman officer and 10 enlisted women aboard the Coast Guard cutter Gallatin. It's important to understand how women have contributed to the Coast Guard in terms of law enforcement, search and rescue.
I served in the United States Air Force as a non-commissioned officer sergeant. And I was the only female that's ever been in the military in my family, so it was quite an honor. I did computer operations attached to intel units. I think, though, the best part of my career in the Air Force was winning the John Levitt Award for leadership.
I did start out as a personnel specialist for a couple of years, and from then I went to recruiting school in Indiana, where I graduated, of course, and became an Army recruiter. I spent 12 years recruiting nurses and high school students. Most of the time in recruiting, you only spend 2 to 3 years at one station.
When I joined in 1971, women could not be pregnant and be in the Navy. You were discharged. In the military, it's very rare to have a senior enlisted female or officer. As a company commander, you had 80 women. You taught how to walk, how to talk, how to salute, how to dress. And 8 weeks later, they went out into the fleet. So by 75, 76, you had more women joining the military, all the branches, and making it a career.
When I was in the Army, my husband was also on active duty, and we had 3 children. It was very challenging in managing the family matters. I worked in a logistics operations office, and I became a planning officer. We did contingency planning for the return of forces to Europe during the Cold War, for redeploying large numbers of military back to Europe should there ever be a World War III.
I'm Susan Augst. I served the United States Air Force as a communications electronics officer. I worked in comm, which is basically connecting people and equipment, and like radios, telephones, radar, satellites. I got into the combat comm arena because you not only had to be smart, but you had to be strong and combat ready.
Nothing that I did was a normal path for a woman officer or even a woman enlisted. The first job I had pretty much was I was in charge of the admin department at a data processing center in Pearl Harbor. I saved 3 years on my first ship, which is the USS Puget Sound. It was a destroyer tender, so we did repair jobs all around the Med. Learned a lot from the chief, who was my leading chief. Basically, he said, if you stay down here and you'll learn what the guys are learning, but more importantly, you'll learn the leadership, because if you can lead in deck, you can lead anywhere.
I wish I had stayed in. I wish I'd retired in the Air Force.
When I moved here to Florida and I found out about the Tri-County Women Veterans, I was kind of excited to get back into, that part of me that I'm really proud of.
The unsung heroes of this whole odyssey that's been my career, of the women that went before me, the women that fought in the trenches of the Pentagon and helped write language that opened the gate and capability that women brought not only to the surface Navy, but to aviation and finally to the submarine community.
If you see a woman vet, just make sure you say thank you. And most of the time we have something on to prove a shirt, a hat.
I wear a lot of baseball caps, and all my favorites have to have U.S. Air Force on them, of course. So I go out in public, and the first, right away, someone walks up to me and they say, "Where did your husband serve you?" Okay.
People just have the vision of men being veterans, not women, and there are a lot of us here.
It's important to recognize all veterans and to understand that women play a major role in defending our country, our allies, the sacrifices.
So to the women veterans out there, I commend you, I thank you, I salute you for all that you have done and sacrificed for your country. Stand tall and proud and share your stories, for you have earned the right to be called a veteran.
So, when you think of a veteran, picture a woman too. I am a veteran.
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 Okay, so we could turn the lights back up, would be great, if you don't mind. And curious, all of those women, did this turn off? Oh, it's still on, right? Okay. All of those women are, live here in the villages, in and around the villages that were in that video. That video was made during the pandemic. You saw several of us with our masks on. But I'm curious, did you recognize any of the Democrats in that video, the Democratic women? I would say that in our, I don't know, all the women that there are many Democrat women in the club. They're not all Democrats, but I saw a few in there that I also see at the Democratic meetings, the big Democratic meetings. So I was just wondering if any of you recognize some of them. Okay, so as Sue said, I did choose as a young person that the military was going to be my career. And I mean, when I say a young person, I'm talking 10, 11 years old. And obviously, I came through with that. I did, and how that came to be is my father is a retired, well, he's passed now, but my father was a retired Army officer, served in both Korea and Vietnam. And when I turned 10 years old, I got a military ID card for being a dependent of a military person. And it was so cool, you know, it was like when you first got your driver's license, you're like, look, I got, you know. So, I mean, I just thought it was the coolest thing. And I said, Dad, I want to have one of these forever. I want to have a military ID forever. And he told me, well, the way you have to do it is you have to join the military and then they'll give you an ID card. But if you want one forever, then you have to retire from the military. And then you'll have an ID card for life. And I do, I carry around my lifer ID card now in my wallet. So because I knew I wanted the military to be my career, when I was a freshman in high school, I joined junior ROTC in high school. Lo and behold, that was, when I was a freshman, was the very first year that my high school allowed women to be in the junior ROTC program. And then I decided to go to a military school, and I went to New Mexico Military Institute, And there again, I was in the first class of women who were admitted to that university, and I graduated in the first class of women there as well. And then I had a career. My career started as a quartermaster officer at Fort Lee, Virginia. My first duty assignment was in Belgium at SHAPE headquarters. SHAPE stands for Supreme Headquarters Allied Powers Europe. I was the only second lieutenant on the entire installation, the only one. There were more general officers on that installation than there were company grade officers. And company grade officers are lieutenants and captains. There were many, I can't even count how many general officers were on that installation. One funny story that I have from that, it doesn't have anything to do with being a Democrat, but it does have to do with being a woman, is I was escorting one of the 4-star generals. They had a reunion every year, and I was his escort from place to place to place. And I went to pick him up one morning, and he was having breakfast with a couple of other 4-star generals. And I was a lieutenant. I was not even 21 years old yet, I don't believe. No, I wasn't 21 years old yet. And I walked in, and the steward said, well, you can wait here in the hall until the general's ready. And I'm like, sure, I'll wait wherever you want me to wait. And one of the other generals saw me and invited me into the breakfast room with them. And they stood up when I came in, pulled out the chair for me to sit down. What does that tell you? That tells you that they saw a woman before they saw a soldier. They saw a woman before they saw a soldier. And that's kind of the experience that I had, and not throughout my career, but certainly the beginning of the career. As we said in the video, women were only integrated into the regular services in 1976, and or 77. It doesn't matter. I have a handout for you that I'll give you in a minute. But prior to that, the women were in their separate corps. It was the Women's Army Corps, or WACS, the Women's Navy, or WAVES, etc., etc. But then we were fully integrated in with the men, and the training became integrated, even though the sleeping arrangements were, separate. The day-to-day training was integrated. But you still had a lot of senior officers that grew up in the military that the women were separate from men, and then they were given women that they had to supervise and lead, and they didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to do. When I was in, you can keep your phones out, that's fine, I don't mind. I was a company commander, and it was Army tradition that the women, the wives of the officers, had a club, just like we have women Democrats. They had women officer clubs, and it was called the Officers' Wives Club. That's what it was, Officers' Wives Club. And guess who got invited to the Officers' Wives Club? All the women officers. And it's like, yeah, I happen to be an officer's wife, me personally, but the rest of the officers aren't necessarily wives. So it took a long time for the Army to transition to fully integrating the military. Another example is prior to 1975 or 6, if you got pregnant and you were on active duty, you were automatically honorably discharged, but you had to get out. And I remember when I was younger, I'm like, well, what if I don't like the military? And I'm like, oh, all I got to do is get pregnant. I'll get an honorable discharge. No big deal. But anyway, they finally said, okay, you can stay in the military if you're pregnant, no big deal. But they didn't make uniforms for pregnant women. So, you know, if you got pregnant, then you just wore civilian clothes, you know, so it really made you stand out. They did finally, I think it took about 8 years or so to come up with maternity uniforms for women. But there are so many instances like that where the military, it was mandated that women be here, but then the support system for women it took time to catch up. And one of the advisory groups to the Department of Defense, not the Department of that other name, one is called Dwcv. Dwcv is the department, it's the advisory committee for women in the military. And when the current administration came into power, they had a shock and awe campaign, as we all know. I mean, it was just like, we're going to be the biggest a-holes that we can be. And one of the target was Dwcv. Dwcv was disbanded, but in the last 5 days, they decided the Secretary of Defense, but he wants to be called the Secretary of War, which is fine with me. We'll call him a sow. The sow said, okay, we're going to look at all of these advisory committees that I canceled, and we'll look at bringing them back. And one of the advisory councils is the Women's Advisory Council, or Dwcv. Dwcv has been operating, and they're a bureaucratic organization, just like anything else in the Department of Defense. They've been operating since 1951. And so somebody comes in this many years later and says, oh, I don't think we need this organization anymore. Well, I have to say, I am so upset. I was speaking to a group of veteran men right after the election, what's his name, wasn't inaugurated yet, but he started talking about his secretaries and who he was going to nominate for Secretary of Defense. And when I heard this guy, a Fox News commentator that's only a major in the military, served most of his time as in the reserves. Granted, he did go into combat. Granted, he did. But he's an more than unqualified individual for that position. I was like, I cannot go and stand in front of a group of men who I know more than likely voted for this to happen, and I'm going to go talk to them. I almost didn't. I was so angry. But obviously, here I am. But I'm talking to women, which I liked, and Democratic women to boot. Okay, so anyway, it looks like we are going to get some of that oversight back. But we all know that throughout the federal government, not just the Department of Defense, but throughout the federal government, they're trying to erase the accomplishments of women, trying to erase the accomplishments of black people, and trying to erase the accomplishments of Hispanics. Why is that? And I don't mean anything bad to the white men in this room, but I think there are a significant number of white men who are threatened. And they're these men that are not all white men, but the ones that are currently in power in our country are threatened by the accomplishments of those that are not them. And therefore, let's erase them. I'm going to pass out a history of women in the military. And there's a ton of, so like maybe 2 per table because I don't have one enough for everybody, maybe 2 per table. And how long do you want?
I have a question.
Oh, yeah. Somebody had a question? Yes.
As a military ex-military person, how do you?
I don't have any more, I'm sorry. We have to share.
How do you feel about military personnel taking orders from the president and militarized?
Right. Okay, so the question is, how do I feel about the military personnel taking orders from a fascist? That was the question. And honestly, in other groups that aren't Democrat only, I can't answer that question. I'm not allowed to answer that question. So boy, oh boy, was I excited to come and talk to you guys, because I can say whatever I want to say. I'm trying to keep my military mouth not to, use really bad language. But the answer to that, I feel it's a disgrace. But if I were still on active duty, even though I would feel horrible about it, in the military, we're taught if it's a lawful order, whether you like it or not, if it's a lawful order, you must follow that order. So when the Pentagon was told we're no longer going to celebrate Women's History Month, we're no longer going to celebrate Black History Month, we're, all of these diversity programs that had been going on in the Department of Defense for 25 years, we're no longer going to do that. Those in the Pentagon had to follow that, whether they wanted to or not, because it was a lawful order. Yes, ma'am.
But is going into our streets against the United States citizens a lawful order?
That's what I think.
That is being debated right now into the Supreme Court, and I would have to say that, I don't know, I would have to say that if you have a young captain, and we're talking somebody that's 25, 26 years old, maybe 30, and that young captain is ordered to take his company, or a young lieutenant who's ordered to take their platoon out to do whatever, I mean, you're not going to say, oh, that's constitutional or it's not constitutional, but I mean, it's an interpretation, unfortunately, that I think is going to have to go all the way to the Supreme Court.
Which is useless.
Right, exactly. Have to go all the way to the Supreme Court to see whether it's constitutional or not. But that young military person that's ordered to do that can't say, no, I don't want to.
Well, what if their superiors say? What if their superiors say, like, we're not going to do it? I mean,
Then they get fired, like the commander in Iceland. says I'm not gonna do it, then you just get fired. Like the 4-star general that was the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff that happened to be black, and so they knew he wasn't going to, you know, just say yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, got fired. So that's what happens, is you just get fired. Just like, and now again, I'm so thankful I'm in the front of a group of Democratic women. It's just like all of our congressmen. Do you think every single Republican congressman agrees with what's going on? No. I can venture to tell you no. They don't agree with what's going on. Many of them are reasonable people. I'm not saying the majority are, but many of them are reasonable people. But they're afraid. They're afraid. And so the military, it's the same thing. The military is afraid. But lawful order would be, I want you to go, and that one I can't believe, blowing up that ship in the middle of the, yeah, that one, I can't believe that that was a lawful order. I don't think that that was a lawful order at all, but I don't know. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. But the fact that their National Guard are picking up garbage and plant, you know, that's what they're being used for. They can't complain to their superiors about that. The superiors can't say this is a waste of money for them to be doing, you know, picking up garbage or
well, no, I did a lot of picking up garbage too in my day. I mean, it was called police call. And we picked up cigarette butts, garbage, blah, blah, blah.
I'm not saying that's not honorable, but I'm just saying, you know, it just seems that's not what they were sent here for.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, it strikes me that the military sets their chain of command.
Yes.
So why can't go the person over you and just go without getting fired? You'd be less likely to get fired if you just work up the chain.
Right, and the question is, I mean, the military structure is a very strict chain of command, and it's not a democratic structure at all. It's not a democratic structure. It is, you know, a top-down organization, as it should be. I do not disagree that it's a top-down. So what you're saying is if, say I'm a company commander, and I'm sorry that's one of, anyway, but then my superior, who's a battalion commander, orders me to do something. Well, that battalion commander got that order from a higher up commander. So I know when I'm down here that he's already decided that it's probably a legal order. Yeah, go ahead.
But I'm just talking about collecting information. You've got information, you pass that on to the next person. You're not asking them to take a stand or get fired.
Oh, collecting it, yeah.
Yeah, and passing that on so it gets to a higher level that can do something.
No. Yeah, and Dee, I really do want you to chime in anytime you want to.
No. So, we all see what's going on in Washington, D.C., L.A. with the National Guard. I get so sad when I see people going up to these individuals and saying, shame, shame, go home, go home. They have no control over their lives.
Right.
So please, don't do that. They are doing what they are ordered to do. If they don't do what they're ordered to do, they will be court-martialed, they will lose that job. These people who are in the National Guards, they have civilian jobs. Some of them are going to probably lose their civilian jobs while they're deployed.
Right.
So please, don't do that.
It's the same experience that my father and many others returning from Vietnam had when they were coming back. They were doing what they were supposed to be doing. They were not the politicians that were making disastrous decisions. but they were executing lawful orders and then come home to protesters. I mean, it makes me cry what my father had to go through. It makes me cry. So thank you for saying that, Dee. I really appreciate that. They're doing what they are told to do. And that's what we're trained to do. Yes, ma'am.
I understand what Dee's saying, but I think that's what all our Republican Congress people or anybody in Congress is saying. We want to be voted in next year. We don't want Trump to kick us out. So they're just being silent.
So where does it
how
end?
long do we be silent?
Where does it end?
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't work. This government does
Right.
not work. If the military has to follow a fascist president, then there's something wrong with our structure of government. And the change needs to start at the top, somewhere.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, what about here in the villages? So many of us want to keep our family and friends, and we're silent.
Yeah, yeah.
What was the question?
So many people here in the villages, we want to keep our family and friends, but we remain silent for fear of losing family and friends. And I do have a comment on that, just as, yes.
I am not, I don't have that, how can I say, that the experience or the privilege to be the veteran of the military, but I was married to the Navy officer, and also my only brother, who was a Navy officer, also is a missing in action since 1982. So, thank you for your beautiful service to the country.
Thank you.
And also your husband. So, pass my message.
Thank you.
So, and the one thing you were just saying, there's a lot of the Republican Congress people are afraid of him and all of that stuff. Guess what, honey? Everybody's afraid of him, but he's afraid of the Putin in Russia. So that's why he's kissing. So, and he's not saying, keeps saying every 2 weeks, oh, sanctions, sanctions, sanctions. It's not working. But my actually main question is, when you gather with your the retired female or whatever you have the organization or something like that, is there any also Republican female military retired?
Absolutely.
Yes,
so absolutely.
An interesting conversation. That would be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, we don't talk.
Never.
Do you talk politics? No, not at all.
No.
Wow.
I will say that I have lifelong, or not lifelong, really close girlfriends. There were 4 of us that served as company commanders together at Fort Lewis, Washington. We were all in the same year group. We were all the same rank. And we are all still together, traveling together and doing things together. And all 4 of us are Democrats. And we just, I mean, you should see our memes back and forth to each other. It's something else. I would say that in our group, probably 75% are Democrat, probably. And the lower percentage are not women that retired necessarily, and they're older women also. We have a friend, I won't name names, lovely couple, lovely man. We really, I mean, will go all out for you. He's a retired Air Force officer, and during the election, the most he'll say is, well, I always vote Republican. Why would I change now? I always vote Republican. So that's what I'm saying. If we talk to these Republican women, I swear Republicans have blinders on. They just have blinders on. But it hit home when this friend of ours said that. I always vote Republican. I mean, it just hit home. How many other Republicans are doing that? They're just not paying attention to what's going on. It's horrific. I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
I think the Republicans, the end justifies the means. They got the abortion that they wanted. They got the tariffs that they think they want. I really believe to them, a lot of them don't like Trump, but the end justifies the means, and that's really.
Yeah, but they're still paying a shit ton of money for eggs.
My son's been in the military almost 20 years. My son has been in the military almost 20 years. On top of 4 years of the ROTC college and 4 years of the ROTC high school. So I followed him all over the country and 3 times overseas to visit him over all these years. And it irritates me to no end to go into the, what do you call it, food court, where the officers are, and there's always Fox News on.
Yep.
Always Fox, never anything else.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
That is disgraceful.
So I do want to talk a little bit about that, about my husband and I. The military predominantly is very Republican. Definitely very Republican. My father was a Republican. My grandparents were Republicans. And I don't know why, we grew up in Southern California, but my dad was a military officer, very, very Republican. While we were serving on active duty, my husband and I did not participate in politics. We did not vote for these reasons, because it's difficult to explain why if you're not in the military itself, but it's kind of like that in your friends groups around here. The majority of people that you play cards with, that you golf with, all your neighbors, the majority of them are Republican, and you really don't want to get into any battles with them. And so we were kind of like, well, we don't want to get into any battles with people that can have influence over our careers. And they absolutely can have influence over your careers. So, but I retired more than 25 years ago, so I've gotten more active now in the Democratic, and so has my husband. But seriously, our friends, our close friends, they were all Democrats, but we still did not get involved that much in politics while we were in the military. And one reason is because you had to follow lawful orders, whether you agreed with them or not. So if somebody told me I had to go and pick up trash in Washington, D.C., and I think, well, this is really inappropriate use of my time, and I would go up and say, hey, this is really inappropriate use of my time, well, that wouldn't reflect too well on my evaluation report. So we were pretty quiet about what we felt on the political scheme. I do love all the questions, honestly I do, but I want to I just want to make sure I got some of the important things out that I wanted to get out. Okay, the biggest thing for me, there were, and you can look at the timeline, between 1976 and 1978, can you tell me who the president was? That's right, Jimmy Carter. I love Jimmy Carter. During that period of time, a lot of good things happened for women in the military, and you'll see it on your sheet there. In 1976, women were admitted to all of the service academies. Service academies are West Point, the Air Force Academy, and et cetera, et cetera. And women were then allowed to train as fighter pilots. Up until that point, they were not allowed to be in any fighting airplane. But curious about that, 1976, how many years ago was that? We're talking a long time ago. It wasn't until last year that they developed a device where women pilots could urinate while they're on transatlantic flights. They have been serving as fighter pilots since 1976, but it took all that time for them to develop a device so women pilots could be comfortable. That's what I'm saying, is that laws are made to allow women into all of these different services, and I'm going to talk about 2015 in a minute. But it just takes time for the bureaucratic system to catch up to necessarily support them. Another area is 2015. In 2015, the all military occupational specialties, whether they were combat or not, were open to women. But then the hedgehog came in, and the new sow came in, and the new sow said, well, women shouldn't be doing these things. I know we've lowered the standards to allow women to be in these positions. And he ordered people to do studies on the physical standards in the military, blah, blah, blah. And what came back? Well, what came back is that it's true, the attrition rate for women in these combat positions is much higher than the attrition rates for men. What does that tell you? That tells you that they did not reduce the physical standard requirement in order to accommodate women. Women, if they could meet these standards, which I could have 40 years ago, I can't now, and in fact I did jump out of airplanes, I forgot that part, but they have not reduced the standards one bit for combat positions to accommodate women. In fact, at Ranger School, which I wanted to go to Ranger School when I was 20 years old, and it wasn't open to women. At Ranger School, one of the requirements at Ranger School is that you shave your head. And did they change that requirement for women? No, they did not. So if you want to go to Ranger School and you want to get a Ranger tab, which there are women that want to do that, they say, well, my hair will grow back. So, yes, ma'am.
I'm just confused here. You're talking a lot about the changes that people wanted to make in the military for women.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Someone has to speak up. But if we want to make changes where people can stay, that's against the Constitution, which I vowed to serve. And we can't make changes to people's ability to say that. So I'm confused. Why can we talk about how women had to fight for their rights in the military, or somehow those changes are starting to slowly happen, but why are we just saying, no, we can't buck the trend for people to say, I cannot do this, I cannot do something that's illegal, I can't blow up this ship.
Right, because it's really a lot more complicated when you look at, is it a lawful order or not? And you can't expect a young officer to be able to determine whether this is constitutional or not.
I can't get into specifics with you, but I'm just saying I'm not following the conversation very well because it doesn't make sense. Women can talk about the changes they need, but other people who need to be able to speak up for why they are in the military and the vows they took I'm not following.
Otherwise it becomes a Gestapo. I mean, if they keep going on the path that they're going on and nobody stands up to this fascist president, what do we have?
Right.
Gestapo. So, you know what I'm saying? It's
So
not-
what,
it's gotta be everywhere.
so what can we do? I mean, I can't answer you on what those that are on the ground right now, how they can have a voice. How we have a voice is by getting together like this and frickin' voting. That's how we have a voice. But what I do want to say to you, yes, take a look at this timeline that I passed out. Women have been struggling since 1942 to get to the point where they could fly fighter jets, where they could serve in combat units, where they can get promotions in combat units again, make 4-star general before it was cut off. You can't even make general officer as a woman. And slowly, if you look at that, slowly but surely, women have come into every single space that the military has to offer. And what my frustration is, and what I want the theme of this to be, is since 1942 we have been working to get to this point. There isn't anything left for women, that women are not excluded from anything. And in one administration, this is where I'm pissed. In one administration, they're dismantling that. They're dismantling that. In one administration, and it literally, I am getting tears in my eyes now because I worked my rear off for the 20 years that I was in, and women that came after me worked even harder than I did to get to where they are. And oh my goodness, in 2015, we thought we had it nailed. No.
It's dismantling, honey, everything.
No, it's not just women in the military, but that's what I'm here to speak to you guys about. Yes, ma'am.
I'm from a military family. My father was in World War II. But if I'm not mistaken in saying that there are some women that had very high positions in, I'm thinking Navy maybe, that were dismissed.
Oh, yes.
Those positions.
Oh, yes.
This administration.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. There were several women officers that were fired or dismissed or whatever you want to call it at the very beginning of this administration. But not just women. Like I said, 4-star black general was dismissed. Yeah, so it's not just women that this administration seems to be having issue with, but that's where I came to talk to you about is my experience as a woman in the military.
Is the Tri-County veterans women up in arms about what they're seeing?
No, because we are a nonpartisan group.
But they're supporting women in the military.
We support women in the military in nonprofit ways. We have health programs, we have, I see this over here.
Therapy.
Yeah, we have programs to support women, but we are not a political body at all, not at all. We're primarily social, but also we raise money to support women veterans.
So perhaps you can explain to me why the military is primarily Republican.
That's a good question. Why is the military primarily Republican? Because the Republicans really, this is what I believe. The Republicans, the majority of Republicans are really pro-defense, pro-defense. And they love seeing money go into defense. When I was a young captain, Ronald Reagan was the president. And, oh, did that make me happy? I gotta tell you, I got promoted faster, I got raises faster, I got better uniforms, our units got better equipment. I mean, that president poured so much money into defense. So, wouldn't you want to, you know, if you could get that. So that is why the majority of Republicans, where Democrats are like, hey, we want to put money in all these social systems, and we want, and then there's Democrats like me that are pro-military. I am pro-military, but I also know that there's a lot of money that's wasted in the military. I mean, just wasted in the military, and there are other ways to defend our country at a lesser amount of money. That's how I believe. But did that answer your question?
Well, it's the same as why would any woman, or why would any black person, or why would any...
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Can I just add one thing? Please refer to those Republicans as the classic or old school Republicans.
Yeah.
And they do believe that. They believe in defense. They believe in a national protection. And we are all good with that, I think.
Yes.
And I respect that part of the Republicans. I mean, I've never had a problem with them. They are just not noticing that we are now in a military state.
Yes.
And I think we are still in the denial level of realizing they really have taken over. The military is not a free state. You're saying the captain can't. You're right. He's not even asked. He's just said, do it or else, which is what sounds a little bit Nazi to me.
Exactly. It's not Nazi. It's the military culture. It is the military culture. Soldiers are asked to do things that are very scary. Soldiers are asked to go to battle. Soldiers are asked to do a lot of scary things, and I don't have a problem with the organizational structure of the military that trains these soldiers to do these things. We do train soldiers to think for themselves, but to a certain extent. Dee's going, I don't know. But I mean, we do try to teach, but we also teach them to be reactive immediately to do these things, and they're being ordered for the most part to do things in their best interest. These are safety things that you must follow. And when soldiers go to basic training, they're like, this is really awful. Why do I have to make my bed like this? Why do I have to fold my socks like that? Why do I have to blah, blah, blah? You know, you have to because you need to get into a military frame of mind. Now, mind you, other first responder type professions like firefighters and police officers should be following a very similar standard that the military does. And you'll find that women that are serving in those professions, those first responder professions, face a lot of the same discrimination that women in the military do. So it's very, very similar to that. Yes, ma'am.
Last question. I'm the president of the New York State Teachers Retirement System program here in the villages, and I can't invite Ash to come and speak to us for the same reason. We're non-political.
Yeah, exactly, non-political.
Yeah, but if we
You guys have too many questions, and I don't get to say anything I want to say.
If we remain silent, we're not going to have a democracy anymore. We need to speak out. Right now, there's so much protest against Disney and for canceling Kimmel. I mean, they're rethinking their decision.
Yeah.
You know, we need to speak up. Let's hope we don't get away.
Oh, we have to wrap it up. We have to wrap it up.
So please don't leave. We have a 50-50 we're going to do.
educational board. I wanted to make an announcement about tomorrow. Okay.
I don't think this is on. Yeah, it's on. All right, well, while I let myself in the back though. Tomorrow is the education forum at Seabreeze at 2 o'clock.
You have to hold it up to your mouth.
Okay, I have to hold it. It doesn't sound like it was working. Anyhow, I'm presenting it. We're going to talk about all the latest vaccine stuff, not vaccines in particular, just all the stuff that's happening around vaccines and whether you can get a COVID shot. And the short answer is yes. So come on, come down tomorrow, 2 o'clock in Seabreeze.
No, it's not. Okay, this is the first, there's two distinguished drawings. First one is 162870.
I need money for my kids.
That's all you had to say. Congratulations. Next one is 162905.